Hey everyone, so welcome to the Banh Chronicles podcast. So this is a this is a first for me, and I'll tell you why. So I'm bringing on Lin Sun. Lin Sun is the first Cambodian comedian to have a 1 hour comedy special on a major streaming platform. She's currently the first Cambodian comedian to have a 30-minute special on Peacock with Comedy Invasion. She is a rising star stand-up comic, a single mother, actor, and writer. Lynn's mom passed away in 2011. Her last promise to her mom was to live her dreams for both of them and leave a legacy for their family name, Sun. Lynn's comedy is like watching the friendly devil may care chick outside of the speakeasy, waving you in to break the law. She is irreverently lovable with a dash of dark humor. In her special Cambodian Renegade, Lynn shares topics about her immigrant family, how she became a badass single mom, her past life as an erotic massage girl, which landed her some jail time. That'll be very interesting to hear that. And the cherry on top is her raw emotions about relationships and your your motto is you are your own big break. And on her
Hmm.
spare time, you can find her absolutely doing nothing. We love that. Um, Lynn's wildest dream is to marry Eminem. A couple years ago, I would say like, a couple years ago at the Super Bowl, he was looking real fine, but he's also
He's
a grand,
fine.
but he's also a grandpa now. So I'm just kind of like, I can't get that out of my head. But I want to say that this is the first time I've ever had a comedian on my show after like I don't know. I've been on the podcast since 2019, and
Yeah.
I've been, and also, let alone a first Cambodian American comedian on my show. So this is an
Yeah.
honor, and I somehow ran into you through the algorithms,
Yeah.
and it connected me with other Cambodian content creators, and I was like, oh, who is this? I mean, and who's doing the stand up? And I thought this was very fascinating because
Hmm.
in the Cambodian community, it is very common for a lot of folks to use comedy as part of the healing and the part of just
Mm.
navigating the day to day. I'm curious, like, where are you currently based in, and how have you been doing so far this month and combined New Year's?
So thank you so much for having me. That's so cool that you found me and you just reached out. I love it when people do that, when they just, I love doing podcasts. It's like one of my favorite things to do
Mhm.
ever. Let's see. So the bio you read, that's so, I was like, wow, where did you get that bio? I forgot it was on my old website, but it's been a while. I'm married now. I'm no longer a single mom.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's a new thing. I
Okay.
got married. I only got married last year though.
Oh,
So I got
wow.
married. I'm a newlywed. I'm married on July 4th, 2025. We eloped in
Mhm.
Las Vegas.
Mhm.
So I got married. How am I doing this month? This month, you know what? Like I didn't even know that the Cambodian content was something that was missing, in on social media. Like I didn't know that. I didn't even know I could speak so many Cambodian words. And so
Mm.
I started doing these reels that that are about stereotypical Asian, I mean stereotypical Cambodian moms,
Mhm.
so that's what I started doing. I posted a video of my stand up, Cambodian stand up, a bit about being Cambodian
Mhm.
on social media, and somehow that got some traction for the Cambodian New Year show. So I just did one of those at Roxanne's in Long Beach,
Mhm.
and I'm based out of Los Angeles.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
And were you first where did your family like first immigrated to the LA
yeah.
area? Hmm.
So my parents landed in Long Beach in 1980, June 1980. So they landed in Long Beach, and then this is when I was little. I only know because I saw pictures, and my mom and dad told me. And then we moved to Houston, Texas. So we were in Houston, Texas till I was in about third grade. And then we moved back to Long Beach in fourth grade.
Mm.
And then since then, I've just been in California ever since in LA County. Yeah.
Yeah, and what were you told about the Khmer Rouge genocide growing up? And because I think for a lot of younger kids, especially when we were growing up, it
Hmm.
was very interesting to see how our lives were different than our non-Cambodian peers in school.
Hmm.
So I'm very
Hmm.
curious about your own upbringing, but also like what were you learning about that history? Like what brought your family to the States?
You know what? They didn't. My parents were sponsored over
Mhm.
by white people, obviously. But
Hmm.
like I hear them talking about it, but just in memory. They didn't complain a lot about it to me.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't play the victim story a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, when they brought me here, they just said, "We brought you to America so you can live the American life. So we don't want to dwell on,
Mm-hmm.
being Cambodian in our past, and we didn't want to play victim, So you're here now, you have new opportunities, so take advantage of that." And that's
Mm-hmm.
why my parents started making Cambodian music videos and stuff
Wow.
like that, because my dad just took advantage of having all the stuff out here in America that he couldn't do in Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
But the things that I've heard are just the regular stuff that I guess every other Cambodian kid hears about, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we had to eat bugs, we had to run, we had to hide, we had
Mm-hmm.
to learn how to make rice when we were 2 years old. My
Mm-hmm.
aunt always said that. Like, how come we don't know how to do anything? We learned how to do everything when we were like 2 years old. You know what I mean? But they didn't make it. My parents never made it a sad story to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when you arrived, or were you born
I
in the
was
U.S.? Mhm.
No, I arrived. I was only 6 months old.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah, so I was basically raised here. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not from. I don't remember anything in Cambodia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you talk about your father, like, with the
Hmm.
Cambodian music business, like
Yeah.
a lot of Cambodian artists were killed during the genocide. When we think of Sinsi Samot and Rosere Soti and Panron, I'm curious of like what that was like because I know that my dad early on liked, buying Cambodian music in the late
Yeah.
80s, early 90s. I'm very curious about what that must have been like to try to find any Cambodian artists in
Yeah.
America. Yeah.
I don't remember my dad. I just remember when I was little and they were going through it. I remember they had a lot of cassette tapes of
Hmm.
Cambodian music, right? And then they would listen to all the one. They would listen to it and whichever music they wanted to use in our music videos. I remember them just calling the artists or the producers that are on the tape and asked if we can use the music videos. I mean, the music for the videos. And they would just pay them some money for it. Or some artists were like, "Well, we don't want any money. We can just, you can just go ahead and use it, you know."
Wow.
So we
Wow.
were able to do that, and that's all I remember because I was so young. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah. And what was your mom doing at the time?
my mom was she was an actress in the music videos.
Mm.
So my dad was the director, creator, and editor, and my mom was the actor, and they did that together. Yeah, but
And what?
in terms of regular jobs, my mom worked for 911.
Oh,
She was an
wow.
operator. Yeah, for 911. She
That's
spoke really
wild.
good. She spoke great English. Yeah, and
Wow.
my dad worked a graveyard shift at the bread factory.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
That must have been quite a interesting life to grow up with a mom that I can only imagine what she's like in the 911 as a Cambodian mom in my own head. But yeah,
Yeah,
did you also grow up with siblings?
I have a younger brother
Mm-hmm.
who's 7 years younger.
Mm.
Yeah, so we grew up in Long Beach. Just I was lucky enough to grow up in a very like my parents like were very civilized, if you know what that means. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
very modern,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, and they tried their best to teach me how to live an American life, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Um, if that makes sense, does that make sense to
Yeah,
you? What I'm saying?
it does because
Yeah,
because I know like from my parents, I mean coming from Cambodia and Vietnam, my dad especially really wanted me to be assimilated. I mean, I have feelings on that later on, but he wanted me to be successful. He wanted me and my birds to be successful, to get away from the gang. So we lived in a fairly, suburban neighborhood,
yeah,
So that was the kind of dream that he wanted. And also my dad, like your mom, spoke very good English. And so
yeah.
he was trying to navigate. He was in a lot of Cambodian spaces. Um, how what was the interaction like with other Cambodian community, or with the Cambodian community that you were growing up with?
Yeah.
What was it like for you to connect with other peers? Did you feel like the difference between you and them in some ways?
You know what? When I was living in Houston, I was the only Cambodian kid in the whole
Wow.
school, or I didn't know any other Cambodians. And then when I moved to Long Beach, of course, there's a bunch of Cambodians
Hmm.
in Long Beach. And when I went to elementary school in fourth grade, all of a sudden there was a lot of Cambodians. I'm like, oh, cool. And you know what? I didn't even know a Cambodian cuss word until I went to school in Long Beach. And the other kids started cussing in Cambodian. And I was like, oh, because my parents never cussed around me like that,
Mm,
you know?
mm,
And then I didn't know, like, I was like, kids can say that, you know? Like,
mhm, mhm,
which
mhm.
is interesting because I do these reels about Cambodian moms and it's very stereotypical, but my mom was actually very gentle. She was
Mm,
never the loud, she wasn't a loud Cambodian and she never said bad words and she wasn't vulgar, you
mhm,
know? But
mhm.
I just know because I hear my mom's friends, my
Mm.
aunts and stuff.
Yeah, I
But no,
imagine her
yeah,
being an actress. Yeah, I imagine her being an
yeah,
actress, that there's like a formality, there's a more of a elegance in some ways that
yeah,
she
she had an
needed to
elegance to
perform.
her.
Yeah, was she wanting to be an actor like since
Yeah.
growing up and was she performing in Cambodia at that time before the Khmer Rouge?
No, 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 no. My
Mhm.
mom didn't do any of that until she moved. They moved here, and my dad started music videos, and then I think that's when he discovered that she
Mm.
could act and
Wow.
she could do all that stuff. She got to live her dreams. So I'm really proud of that. You know that
Hmm.
she got to do what she loves, and um, yeah, no, but you know what? A lot of it is, but my dad was a very mean dad. Like he
Mm.
just like I didn't. He was a mean dad, and
Hmm.
honestly, like in a third world country home or a home with a family that's from a third world country, he was abusive, and I didn't know he was abusive, right? Because then you grow
Hmm.
up like that,
Hmm.
right? You grow up like
You
that, so
feel
you
like it's
just think
normal.
like,
Hmm.
yeah, you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess all men hit, you know.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
then my dad, once I grew up, and it's not till I started stand up comedy was when I was able to admit out loud that my dad was abusive, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm not making excuses for him. I just think like when you're in a third world country or you grew up Asian or Cambodian, you don't know what mental health is. You don't
No.
go to the therapy. You don't
Mm-mm.
get diagnosed, right? So that's what happened. And I think my mom, a lot of her elegance was from because my dad was very strict and mean with all of us, and he didn't
Mm.
want us to act some type of way, you know.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
when my dad and my mom divorced, my mom was so much more loose.
Oh wow.
She was so much more loose, and she was able to be herself, and she was
Yeah.
able to, just have some freedom, which I like that for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And around that time, I know that when your mom was doing the videos, um, it seemed I actually had a conversation the other day with a Cambodian friend of mine, and she said, "Oh yeah, I know her mom. Like I used to watch her
yeah,
videos back in the day." Do you find
yeah,
yourself getting asked about your mom because of her
yeah.
appearances in those movies?
I never, they, when I got older,
Hmm.
I moved over to Monterey Park area, San Gabriel Valley, which is not a lot of Cambodians. It's more Chinese Vietnamese.
Hmm.
So I wasn't around a lot of Cambodians, and I didn't grow up with Cambodians, so nobody really asked me anything. Not
Hmm.
until somebody posted it on social media, and I was like, "What?" On Instagram, like they posted my old video or something like that, and I was like, "I didn't even know this was on YouTube or
Wow.
whatever," you know. And then when people started commenting and telling me how much my mom meant to them, or how much
Hmm.
how much they looked up to her, or how much they admired her, or listened to the music videos and stuff, that's when I knew. I was like, "Oh man," because we didn't have internet back then.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't know how old you are, but when I was 10, there was no internet. It
No.
was just cassette
Yeah.
VHSs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be 43 in June, so I definitely remember life
Okay, you
without
know
the
what I'm
internet.
talking about.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in that age group now too,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, I know that when you talk about your mom's passing out of love, and like,
Yeah.
was she ill for a long time, or was it very
Uh,
sudden?
you know what? My mom had high blood pressure, but never said
Hmm.
anything. She
Hmm.
never told me. And I traveled a lot, and I left.
Hmm.
I was out of the state for work and such. And then
Hmm.
she had a stroke in 2011. So she
Hmm.
had a stroke. And the crazy part is that I was in Dallas at the time,
Hmm.
staying with my friend, and it was around Christmas time in 2010. And I had a dream that she passed. I
Wow.
dreamt that she was passing away. But
Mm.
I just thought that meant, and then I looked it up and it said it could mean someone sick or it can mean just a rebirth of your relationship with that person who's passing.
Hmm.
So I thought, okay, maybe we're just having a rebirth. And then
Mm.
like the next week, I got a call from her friend. It's like, oh, we're
Mm.
going to the hospital. Your mom had a stroke. I was like, oh shit.
Wow.
So I had to fly back the next day, you
Mm.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. And how old were you at the time when you found out about her when she passed?
2011. I want to say I was 34.
Hmm.
No,
Hmm.
no, I wasn't. 31 or 32? 32.
Hmm.
Well, I'm 40. What is it's 2025, 6. I'm
Yes.
46.
That'll be
So
15 years ago.
2011,
Yeah, it's
15
50.
years ago,
Damn. It's been that long. Holy crap.
31.
Ugh.
I was
Yeah.
31. Yeah. And
Wow.
when
Mhm.
it was, and you wanted to talk about the passing and how to deal with that and grieving and stuff
Yeah,
like that, right?
sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I know that, I think at the time you were a mom at that point.
No,
Oh, you weren't a mom at the point. Okay.
I was still young and rebellious at that time. But
Mm,
I wasn't a mom yet. And
yeah.
the thing is though, with for me, I was very at peace with it. And the reason why is because our
Mm,
parent, I don't know about your parents, but mine believed in reincarnation because
mm,
they're Buddhist. So
mm,
I knew that it was her time to go. So
mm,
I was sad, but I was at peace with it because she lived a great life, but also a very hard one, you know? She
mm,
lived a very hard life and I knew she paid her dues
mm,
and it was time for her to move on to her next life and come back as a princess, you know?
mm.
And
Yeah.
like, like she wanted to and I know she's probably reincarnated as some rich person somewhere because this her past life with me, she lived a very hard she had a lot of struggles. So I knew, and I just, and they say when you're passing, the last thing to go is your hearing, right?
Mm,
And she was unconscious the whole time, but I that the nurses and doctor kept telling me that she can hear me. So I had
mm,
to reassure her the whole
mm,
time, like, we're gonna be okay. You can leave. And
yeah.
my younger brother is actually bipolar schizophrenic.
Mm,
So I think she had a hard time really letting go spiritually because
mm,
she wasn't sure if my brother was gonna be okay.
mm,
So I had to like tell her, while she was in the hospital, she couldn't say anything back, but I just reassured her, like, you know, he's going to be fine. I'm going to put him in a home. He's going to be taken care of and
mm,
all that stuff. And just to like ease her pain and let her know, like, if you go, go and be free.
mm. And
Yeah.
when you talk about your younger brother,
Yeah.
what was your relationship like with him, especially when he was dealing with, especially like given what we know now about mental health, but back in the day,
Yeah.
obviously it was very foreign and,
Mm-hmm.
your parents would never be able to understand,
Yeah.
what bipolar schizophrenia is, and
Right.
yeah. What was his upbringing like and and in a way, how did that affect your relationship with him, with what he was dealing with?
So my brother, when my dad left, I was 15, which means my
Mhm,
brother was like 8.
mhm,
you know so my dad left pretty when he was pretty young, right? And there's that trauma. And then my mom raised him by herself, and I was a very good kid, so she felt like she could give him the same amount of freedom, but then she gave him the freedom and he ended up hanging out with the wrong crowd and etc. Right.
mhm,
So then he was diagnosed bipolar when he was 15, and my mom didn't know what that was.
mhm,
Right. And then why was he was hearing voices, why, etc. Why he was like having good days and bad days. And then finally they took him to the hospital and they told her that she's bipolar. And I even had to look that up because I was like, what?
mhm, mhm,
I had to look up bipolar and I was like, oh man. So me and my brother's relationship, when we were younger, we always like bickered, right? Because you're
mhm,
young, it's like,
yes.
get out of my room.
Mhm, mhm,
I'm on the phone. But then as we got older, we were close. Yeah. We had good
mhm,
conversations and I hung out with him a lot. And I chatted with him a lot on AIM when I was away, you
mhm.
know. So I've always had that kind of relationship with my brother. We didn't have like a bad relationship at all. Yeah.
And how's he doing now over the
Right
years?
now he's good because
Mhm.
he's taken care of by professionals,
Oh wow.
which
That's
which
amazing.
I like I prefer that because a
Hmm.
lot of people, my mom included, is
Hmm.
like, no, keep him with family, keep him blah blah blah, but we're not equipped to handle
No.
all of that. We're just not, as much as it's painful and we love them, but we want them to have the best care.
Right, right,
So I
right.
want him to be in the hands of people who can handle him 24/7,
Yeah, it kind of
you know?
reminds me of what happened um with Rob Reiner and what happened to his son. That was really
Yeah.
awful, and I thought about
Right,
that
right, right.
too.
Hmm.
And and when you talk about like your own upbringing, like going into high school
Yeah.
and learning more about your own identity, but also what you were exposed to, because at that time, think of like how the Cambodian community was struggling. There was gang issues, there was
Hmm.
trying to like figure out what to do. The idea of going to college seemed far-fetched, for a lot
Hmm.
of kids of our age. So
Hmm.
I'm curious about what you were trying to deal with, and especially for your dad too, because you
Hmm.
talk about growing up in such a very difficult household,
Hmm.
and how because I think when you're a teenager, you start to rebel, right? You start to
Hmm.
fight back and start to see, well, this is not right, and now I need to reclaim my space. But what was it like for you as you were growing up around that time?
My dad left when I was 15.
Hmm.
So I didn't really rebel in high school. I
Hmm.
definitely didn't rebel when my dad was around because
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
scared of him. But even I just wasn't a rebellious kid in high school. I was in high school plays. I was in student government.
Hmm.
I did all the cool things in high school. I was a nerd. I wasn't like
Hmm.
I was the nerd popular. It's like people
Hmm.
knew me because I was in plays. They didn't know me because I was cool. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So that with that, I was an easy kid when I was a kid. I've always been the A student,
Hmm.
up until high school because I discovered boys and I just didn't care anymore. And I discovered extracurricular activities. But yeah, so that for me, my upbringing was like that. And my parents moved me out of Long Beach to San Gabriel Valley because they kept saying, like, go to school with the Chinese kids, they're good kids and they get straight A's, and they knew, and but I did have really good friends one specific good friend who did still stay in Long Beach and had friends like that who were in gangs and who,
Hmm.
etc., that lifestyle. But my parents, fortunately for me, she kind of, how do you say it? Like shielded me from it.
Hmm.
So I didn't grow up around that with the
Hmm.
gangs and stuff.
Were
Yeah.
you were you able to think about what college you wanted to go to, or was it into this idea like, yeah, well, I'm doing well in school, now I think I'm ready to take that next step? What was
I
that
didn't want to
conversation
go.
like?
I only went to college because I wanted to be an actor.
Mm,
I wanted to be an actor. Like if it was up to me, I would have come right out of high school and went to art theater school and just been an actor.
hmm.
But my mom, you know how Cambodian parents are. They
Of
don't
course.
actors don't make money,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know.
And I'm pretty was trying to convince her to go into acting, especially when she is
She's an
herself
actor, yeah.
actor, telling you like, no, this is not worth it, but
Yeah,
you're watching her, and I mean, it seems like in a way you kind of idolized her in that
of
sense
course,
too.
very much. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for her to tell you, no, you can't,
Yeah.
this is not the right road. I mean, it's got to be very confusing to you, and you're like,
Yeah.
what are you trying to say?
But you know what? In all honesty, my mom was so sweet and kind
Hmm.
that, like, if I really did just say, I'm just going to be an actor, she would have said, okay, you know?
Hmm.
But like, I didn't. And I pretended to go to college. I didn't really go to college, but I like enrolled
Hmm.
and I tried to do cosmetology school because I was still going to college,
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Technically, I
It's
was
a
going to
trade school. It's
college.
a trade
Yeah, yeah,
school,
yeah. No, but I actually went to Citrus College out here, which is also a community college. Plus, you could take cosmetology. So I tried to do that to make my mom happy because she was a single mom at the time and
Mm-hmm.
etc. So I tried to do that for her, but it never worked out because it's not my calling. It's not my thing.
Hmm.
Everybody isn't made for college, and that doesn't mean you're
Right,
stupid.
right.
It doesn't mean anything. It just means it's not for you, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so, and then so yeah, that was my upbringing in high school. It wasn't, I didn't rebel until I was in my like
Mhm.
20s.
Yeah. I relate to that in some ways because I felt like I was doing a lot of that. You know,
You got a
uh,
lot of what?
like trying to rebel against, my dad specifically. Like I wanted to be a writer, and my dad said, well, there's no Vietnamese people that are writers, So I
Yeah.
had to like try to prove him wrong, but my God, some of the fights I've had with him were just like very loud. Oh yeah, because I mean I'm a tall
Yeah.
dude myself, so I think once I got taller than him, then the power dynamic just changed, and I
Yeah.
I, I look back on it, it's my dad was obsessed with school, with college, and um when you were going into acting, like what were you taking? Like what was what what places were you able to try to maybe get a class to or try to do an audition for? What were you going, what
You know,
roles were you going for? Yeah.
you know what? I didn't really start taking headshots and classes and going to whatever until my 20s. No, until 30s.
Hmm.
I was 30 because you know what? I was a massage girl first.
Mm.
So when I was 29, I became the erotic massage girl.
Mm.
So I did that and I was making money. So I was like, why the fuck does anybody want to do anything else? You know, so easy.
How much money were you making, you know?
Yeah, like
For
200 a hand job. Like it's like it's not a lot. Like it was so easy. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
like, why is anybody? Because here, our parents were kind of narrow minded in a way where they're like, okay, college is the prestigious thing, it's a
Hmm.
respectable thing, right? Like that's what they want you to do.
Hmm.
But really, I think every parent just wants their kid to be financially successful.
Of
That's
course.
really why they want you to go to college because they think college is the way that's going to get you
Hmm.
financially successful. But if you came home and it's like, I have a popular podcast, I make $1 million a month, what are they going to say? Quit your podcast and go to college? They're not
Yeah,
going to say
exactly.
that.
Exactly. Just be sinking in debt, you know?
You know,
Um,
they're not going to say that. They're going to say, oh, great. You know, let's teach everybody how do you know, they're going to show off my son has a popular podcast. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
anyway, they just want you to be financially successful. Anyway, I went off track, but I was the erotic massage girl first. And then when I
mhm,
stopped doing, during that time was when I was like, oh, I'll just start taking acting classes.
mhm,
And then after that, I made it to a play, the Joy Luck Club. You know the play.
mhm.
There's a
Yes.
you know the movie
Yes.
Joy Luck Club. I was in
Yes.
the play, and that's how I got the ball rolling. And I was like, oh, I like I can actually audition and do all these things. And acting was one of the things where I am most confident in myself. Like I knew like I was really good at it, and
Mhm.
I doubt myself a lot. I have a lot of I need to
Yeah.
learn how to have more self belief. But the acting part, I'm like that I can do.
Yeah. And to kind of rewind back to the erotic massage
Yeah.
experience, like how did that fall? Like how did you fall into that? And how long were you doing it for? Did you feel like it was very unsafe at times too? Because I know like when people do like, sex work or massage work, I mean, there's a level
Yeah.
of like chaos that goes
Yeah.
on. Because I've read Kyla Yu's Fetish Size. I don't know if you've read it, but it's a really good book. You know, she was an import model back in the early 2000s,
Uh-huh.
and so and now she's a journalist. And I'm curious about like how you fell into that into your late
Oh, that's
20s.
interesting. Because she sent me that book. I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet.
Ooh,
But
good
okay,
book.
it's a good book. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm a firm believer in law of attraction, and
Hmm.
how you handle things because two people can have this exact same situation, circumstances, and
Hmm.
have totally different results, right?
Hmm.
So I have the joke version of how I got started, but then I also have the honest version, of like the really gritty version. But the
Hmm.
gritty part is that I was working at TGI Fridays.
Hmm.
I got fired. My mom, that same night, I think my mom asked me for $20 because she didn't have money, okay,
Hmm.
to like buy my brother food or something like that. And
Hmm.
then that's when I was like, and I didn't have the $20 to give her, but I felt really bad.
Hmm.
So, and I got fired. So now I'm looking for a job. I'm on Craigslist looking for a job. And then I think,
Hmm.
you know what? I should be an escort because like escorts, I'm sleeping with people anyway. So I might as well do it for 500, 1,000,
Yeah.
like what am I why I'm cute, you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
So then I tried to do that, but then I saw an ad on Craigslist for it said massage girls wanted, no
Hmm.
sex, and a bunch of dollar signs. So I was like, no sex, I'll do that. I know how to give massages.
Mm.
So then when I called the guy, he was over the phone, he couldn't really say all the words because I could be a cop, right?
Mm, yeah.
So
Hmm.
he's like, it's a massage, it's full body,
Hmm. Hmm.
full body. He's like, it's a sensual massage,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay. And he goes, and there's like a hand release. And I was like a hand job, like I just,
He's like, shh. Yeah, he's like,
and then he's like, yeah, and then I said, do I have to give him a blowjob? And he's like, no. And I was like, score. And I'm like, I don't even have to sleep with him. And he's like, no. I was like, then
I
let's do
missed the
it,
boat on it. Yeah, I missed the boat on that. Damn. Darn.
because it was a boom at that time.
Oh yeah.
So it was a boom. It was like that Craigslist,
Hmm.
erotic massage boom. Anyway,
Hmm.
so I hopped on during that boom, and then he came and picked me up that night to take pictures of me and some lingerie, whatever. And then he posted me the next day, and I got a call from a client that next morning, and it that was it. And I went to my first client. He gave me the cash. I gave the guy, because he took a portion of my earnings, right? Because he
Hmm.
was my pimp at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
So then so then like a few months later, I was like, why am I giving you part of my money when I could just do it by myself and keep everything? So I left him and just did my own thing and made kept all the money. And I just made it a business.
Hmm.
I just made it an entrepreneurship. I didn't make it, was it dangerous? Sure, but I
Hmm.
was very careful about who I took the call from, which clients I would see. You know, I was not on drugs. I didn't
Hmm.
drink, so I was always clear-headed when I
Hmm.
did it.
Hmm.
I wasn't so desperate because I wanted drugs that I would take any client. You
Hmm.
know, I kept it classy. I know it sounds like a oxymoron because you're a classy hand job artist, but
We're a sex positive show here, so
yeah,
no.
yeah. So I kept it classy and I ran it like a business. At some point, I had
Hmm.
girls doing massages and I posted ads for them and stuff. I was like a
Hmm.
madam for a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And, but you just got to know. And again, I just, in my head, I don't attract anything like that, you know?
Hmm.
I just create this like mental bubble around me for safety, and I go and I do it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you had to spend time in jail.
Yeah,
About
I
that,
sure
yeah.
did. So I get busted. I got busted 3 times doing massages. So I got
Wow.
busted. Yeah, but I never had sex with the clients, so they couldn't
Hmm.
really bust me for like prostitution, you know.
Hmm.
So it would drop down to loitering or massage without a license.
Mm, yeah.
But what happened was, when I got busted, I had to see the judge. The judge told me to do community service, blah blah blah, and I didn't do any of it. So I had a bench warrant.
Wow.
And then 5 years later, I got pulled over, and they took me in for the stupid bench warrant. And that's how I ended up doing 12 days in county, LA
Mm,
County.
wow. How was that in those 12 days?
It was okay because I was in like the good girl pod, where it's like the
Hmm.
pod, the pod where it was like people just had DUIs. You know, it wasn't like a
Hmm.
big thing. So, and I had
Hmm.
really good bunkies. I got lucky with good cellmates
Mm.
that, you know, they gave me paper and pencil, and I could was still able to write, and we told each other stories, and I read books. And you know what? To be honest with you, of course I cried a few times
Yeah.
because you're in jail.
Yeah.
So I cried, but then I was like, after about a week, I was all, damn, this is easy. I get fed 3 times a day.
I don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything. I was like, I don't have to go to a job. I don't have to pay a bill.
How did your mom feel at that time when she
No,
heard like you
she was already
oh she was at
passed.
past at that point? Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how were you able to like, get bail or like what was
There was no bail, dude. I just waited till they released me, until
mm,
the, you know, they sent the papers to the court, and
hmm.
I got to get out.
Yeah. And when did you decide to now, okay, okay, maybe this is not the long-term goal for me, but like I want to go into acting. What did
Yeah.
you experience like when you started to dive into that world?
Um, how I quit massages was I had a stalker, and then I was like, that's enough.
Mm,
I don't want to do it anymore. So then I went back to just waitressing and just doing regular stuff. And then I became a restaurant manager.
hmm.
Sorry about the noise. I became a
It's okay.
restaurant manager, which allowed me to travel, etc. And then I got pregnant in 2015.
Hmm.
So once I got pregnant, I had my child. I was a restaurant manager, had a baby. I was a single mom. So I needed to get my mojo back
Hmm.
because I was losing myself in parenting. Because when you're a parent and you're a first timer and you're single, you're like, that's all you can do, right? Because
Hmm.
you don't know what you're doing. So um, I wanted to get my mojo back. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to acting and I should try stand up. I'm going to take a stand up class. So
Hmm.
then I took a stand up class just to see if I would like it. And I
Hmm.
ended up finding out that I was pretty good at it. And I was like,
Hmm.
oh, wow, that's interesting. Because my whole life I loved stand up and I
Hmm.
always watched comics. And I was like, how are they? That is so hard. I was like, how do they just go up there and just talk without knowing that it's a
Hmm.
skill? You know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's how I started.
Who were the comedians that you were really drawn to? Was it like the Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, the
I was
SNL
really
folks?
I my favorite stand up that I liked before I saw anyone else was Chris Rock.
Mm,
bigger and blacker. It was so hilarious. But my all-time favorite stand-up comic is Wanda Sykes.
yes.
Yeah. So
I
when
like
I was
Wanda.
in, when I saw Wanda Sykes, it's interesting because I saw her stand up when I was in one of my hotel rooms,
Mm,
when I was
hmm
doing massages, and they had HBO. So one day I just turned it on, and Wanda Sykes was on. I watched her whole special. I was like, damn, that's so good.
hmm
And then, but I never thought that I could be someone who could do it. Like I
hmm
never thought that in my head. I thought being a stand up comic was like so much harder than even being a doctor. You
mm,
know, because you got to come out with the material yourself. There's no anything. I just thought there was no class for it or anything. Um, but then when I did it, I'm like, oh, I just needed to learn how to write jokes.
hmm Yeah. And when you were doing comedy, like were you observing other Cambodians? Because I know that in the Cambodian community spaces, you hear a lot of Cambodians love to roast each other, especially at family
Yeah,
parties. Like, oh no,
yeah,
you're a pig, like you gain too much weight. But we
yeah,
do a lot of roasting to each other.
yeah.
I'm curious about what that experience was like if when you were in Cambodian spaces. Like, did it in a way kind of like, wow, I think I am kind of funny too. I mean, our folks are pretty funny, and I know that there
Yeah,
were like, Cambodian men that wanted to be comedians. So I'm curious like to
yeah.
see what you might have observed from being in those Cambodian spaces on the comedy level.
I wasn't around a lot of Cambodian spaces. The only time I was when we lived in Long Beach, and my dad had a lot of his like actors and actresses and stuff.
Hmm
Actors, my uncles, would come and they'd play cards.
mm
They'd sit around and play cards all night and stuff and have coffee, and um they but because they were around my the circle just wasn't like that. They weren't roasty. They didn't make
hmm
fun of each other. They weren't crass. They weren't like that, and they had a lot of respect for my dad, so maybe they just didn't act like that around my dad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't get a lot of Cambodian influences for my stand up. You know,
hmm
I it didn't and I like I was saying in one of my reels, like only recently I was connected back to my Cambodian roots,
mm
from doing these reels about the stereotypical Cambodian mom, it's actually
hmm
reminded me of all this because I wasn't around a lot of Cambodians.
hmm
So to do that, I was like, oh, like I said, it was really healing for me,
hmm
to remember,
Yeah.
oh man, thanks for you guys like reminding me how fun we are and just laughing at it and making it ridiculous,
hmm
even though some people take it too seriously and they're like, we don't all talk like that. Like, no shit. We don't
It's
all
comedy.
talk like
It's
that,
a
idiot.
satire,
Yeah,
Satire. Yeah.
no shit. Yeah.
But also there's a lot of truth to some of these things that you've done,
Of
and
course.
I was like, man, I mean my mom didn't act that way, but because she's Vietnamese, but I've seen Cambodian aunties. I've
Yeah.
definitely experienced plenty, um
Yeah.
and when you were like, do you remember the very first time you actually had to stand up in front of a live audience? Like,
Yeah.
what was going through your own head? Because I have done, storytelling before. I, would get up in front of people and I do get nervous. But I can still pull it off. But for comedy, stand up, I would be terrified because it's
Yeah.
not just the joke itself, but also your timing, being able
Yeah.
to read the audience, being able to be quick on your response. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a whole science to it. It's like it's hard to teach that, Like you have
Right.
to be able
Right.
to be very observant and you have to have good instincts.
Yeah. You know what? I really appreciate you saying all that.
Hmm
I really appreciate you saying all that and actually acknowledging that stand-up comedy is a very hard skill.
Uh-huh.
Like because a lot of people might not think that because everybody who's funny thinks they should be a comedian. Like
hmm
like everybody who's funny at a
hmm
party thinks that they should do stand-up. But what really helped me was that I took a class.
hmm
So, yes, you can't teach all the natural things. Like you can't teach the timing, you can't teach the personality, right? And you
hmm
can't teach the charisma. You can't teach those things.
hmm
But the stand up class that I took luckily taught me how to structure a joke and how to do the basics of stand up, the mechanics,
hmm
you know? So then when I did my first open mic, I was scared shitless because I have no material. But because
hmm
I took classes, my teachers taught me how to write jokes and how to write punchlines. So then, and how to structure my set. So then when I went on stage, I was hella nervous and I had to do jumping jacks and shit before going up
Mm-hmm.
there. But when I did it, it was fine. It was great. I got a good response from it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
uh-huh.
Were other people in front of you, like like ahead of you, or were you like where was your placement? Because I know like when you're watching other people's set, you're
Yeah.
kind of like getting either like
Yeah.
terrified, you're like, oh, okay, this they really hate this comedian, or they really think this is
Yeah.
funny. I don't know how am I gonna follow up to this person.
No, they I was up second. So there was a host,
Mm.
there was like one comic and then me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think it's because I told my teacher, like, can you put me up earlier? Because I,
Hmm.
you know, if I wait any longer, I'll be really nervous. So she put me up second. And the thing is, I used to do plays. So performing in front of an audience, live audience doesn't scare me like that.
Hmm.
So the fact that, and again, because I learned the structure
Hmm.
and the mechanics of stand up, I was able to do it. Because my first show was with in front of like 200 people. So,
Wow.
but I was nervous for every show. It's only like recently where I'm like, okay, I still get nervous, but I don't need to do jumping jacks anymore, you know?
Hmm. 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 Yeah. Do you find yourself interact like do you find it hard to perform in front of your own friends, or family,
um,
do you find them to be
mm,
like your toughest critic in a sense?
no, because you can't really see the audience, first of all. So if
Mm,
they're not
hmm.
sitting in
Hmm.
front of you, you just can't see them. So you don't know if they're laughing or not or whatever. But I always had like a comfort with them there.
Hmm.
You know, for me, it was more like I was happy that they were in the crowd, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. What were some of your favorite Cambodian jokes, like your stories that you really that people really felt more drawn to? I know we talk about the Cambodian moms, but
Yeah.
I know we talk about the the typical flip-flops, how the little flip-flops were used as
Leave.
weapons from our parents. But what other jokes do you make that Cambodian people get pretty quickly, but other Asians or non-Asian people are like, oh, I never knew this. This is what y'all have to deal with.
um the whole thing, well, the Cambodian thing that people resonate, well, you know, I have that joke that I really like about how I'm the first Cambodian to have a special on Prime Video
Hmm.
and the third to have a job other than farming or sewing. So that one I really like,
Hmm.
you know. And then when people get that joke, I was like, oh, you guys are smart, like, you know, you
Uh-huh.
you did your research, you know.
Hmm.
That I like. The secret ones, I just like it when, because I always remembered my mom always talking about what kind of men to date and what ethnicity, and
Hmm.
always date white guys. She's always like, you again, you saw some sad gang. She's always talking about the white people because she's like, the white people got money. That's who you gotta date, you know. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
if
funny.
like if other Asians do that, but I know Cambodians do that a lot. And the inside joke about how I know you're part Vietnamese, but
Hmm.
like they're always like a Yuan
Hmm.
don't have
Hmm. I
don't
hear
have
that. I hear that
Vietnamese.
word. I hear that too.
But it's funny because we love banh mi and we love
Yeah.
salamachu Yuan. So
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hmm. Hmm. That's for sure. I know you guys are like the neighbors that we just have to find a way to get along somehow.
yeah.
I don't know how you feel about the ties at the moment, but it's um but yeah, do you also sometimes like make light of, let's say, the more serious stuff that's been going on with Cambodia and Thailand, for example, or the more serious, like, do you try to
Yeah.
find ways to like really poke uh the irony of it too? Because I do think that there is beauty in it, but it's also but it's also a very tough line to cross
Yeah.
for a lot of comedians. Yeah.
I don't I'm not really a political or a worldly kind of comic, you know.
Hmm.
I'm just more like a personal stories and
Hmm.
personal experience kind of comic. Um and I know this is a very unpopular opinion, but like
Hmm.
I like to stay ignorant and I don't really watch the news.
Yeah. I think.
Just because
Mhm.
I get too empathic
Yeah.
about it, and
Yeah.
then I get too it'll paralyze me in a lot of ways, you know,
Yeah. I hear you.
because I feel it too much. So
Hmm. Hmm.
for me, I guess in a selfish way to protect myself and my energy, like I try
Hmm.
not to involve myself too much in it. I'm sorry, I know that sounds really selfish, but
No, I
I have a
don't
whole
think it
ass kid.
is. Yeah, you
Yeah.
also, I mean, you're a mom, but you're also, I mean, you're a single mom, but you're also a working comedian.
Hmm.
And part of it is like you have to still have your sense of humor, and I
Yeah, of
mean,
course.
like when I've been doing my podcast, I have a lot of very serious episodes, but lately I'm also like, I kind of want to add some more fun to that too, because I
Yeah.
don't want to,
Oh, yeah.
because there's so many times when I get so annoyed and very irritable when I get on my show, and then I just kind of want to just have fun and just nerd out on like top 40 hits.
Yeah.
So like not to say that I won't ever do, like that I'm completely ignoring it. I won't, but it's like I
You're
need
right.
breaks. I need things
Right.
that will keep me sane and my listeners sane, because the world is tough as
Yeah.
it is. And I think, comedy, especially good storytelling, is very much needed. And yeah, what would you say has been the one where the crowd was very or were you, like maybe from the community they're like, oh wow, I can't believe you went there, I mean, I'm pretty sure you have
No.
plenty of those, but like it's like I really can't believe you went there. Or if someone had told you like, God, this is not funny, you're representing us very wrong.
Oh, you know, a lot of dark jokes go there. Like
Hmm.
I write dark jokes before, a
Hmm.
lot more before than now. And the dark jokes are always like that. They're always hit or miss.
Hmm.
Like the joke about the joke about my dream man is Eminem because his lyrics they really hit me,
Hmm.
like my dad did.
Hmm.
You know
I
what I
saw
mean?
that
So
one.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that those jokes like that are very
Yeah.
like, oh, some people they feel bad for you. Some people like,
Yeah.
oh, because they're dark. And
Yeah.
then the joke goes more, my dad, my dad was a smacker. He smacked me. He smacked my mom.
Wow.
He smacked the mailman
Mm.
because he was a smacker. So now every time I see a Cambodian man, I duck. Right. So those
Mm.
jokes like that. So jokes like that, you see how it's like it's a very up and down reaction. And as a
Mhm.
comic, you just have to know when you say jokes like that, you're gonna get a groan, and a groan, ooh, that's
Mhm.
equivalent to a laugh because
Mhm.
they're feeling something, you know?
Mhm.
They're feeling emotions, they're reacting, they're listening, right?
Mhm.
So those are mainly the ones. Like I don't um and usually around Cambodians though, I've never experienced like when I do shows with Cambodians or Southeast Asians,
Mhm.
they usually like jokes like that because they relate, you know?
Mhm. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt their feelings, you
I
know?
mean, we roast each other. That's like
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I do that too, but unfortunately, with some friends, like I would get a talking to. It's like we need to talk. It's like, and I'm a Gemini, so when I have to hear it, we need to talk. I have to talk to you about what just happened, and I'm like, shit. It's like, I'm just
Oh,
like,
you hurt their
damn.
feelings?
Yes,
Damn.
I have had those situations, and it's like, damn. Damn, because
Damn.
because I'm also very empathic, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel horrible when I really
Yeah.
do hurt a friend. If it's someone that I really dislike, then I have no problems. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real on the 101. But when it's people that I really care about that I'm not trying to hurt, then yeah, I feel really awful, and I feel like I have to apologize like profusely, like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm sorry, this is not where I was trying to
Yeah.
go. But yeah,
Yeah.
but what would you say has been? I would say like what do you think has been um like the biggest surprise in your own current comedy career so far? Like like in terms of like have you met with a comedian, an established comedian that just came to your show out of nowhere, or have you had some really rude interactions with an audience? Or I'm
Oh,
curious about like your own exchanges, your own experiences being a comedian there.
yeah. Well, my biggest moment was when I met Dave Chappelle in person.
Wow.
So I saw Dave Chappelle. I didn't
Wow.
perform with him, but I saw him, and then it was before he went on stage at a comedy club I was working at, and I wanted to go back there to take pictures, and then his bodyguard was like, "Oh no, he's not doing pictures right now." I was like, "Dang." But then
Mm.
he went on stage, and Dave, I thought he was going to go really long because sometimes when he does sets, he just goes a long time.
Mhm.
And my son had school the next day, so I left. But then I found out later that he went outside and he was like taking pictures with all the fans and stuff. And I was like, man, I
Wow.
miss taking a picture with him. But just to see him in person, I was like, oh my God, because I love Dave Chappelle, love
Mhm.
him. Um, that was a big moment. And then
Mhm.
Jay Leno, Jay
Mm.
Leno in person is so charismatic, and you can
Hmm.
he's such a star.
Hmm.
Like you
Hmm.
can't miss Jay Leno, and he was
Oh yeah.
humble, professional. He didn't go over his time. He stayed very humble. But
Hmm.
my biggest surprise, honestly, is I didn't know how much love and support I was gonna get from the Cambodian community on
Hmm.
Instagram. Like I was like, oh my God, like I just didn't know. I didn't even know
Hmm.
there's that many Cambodians on Instagram.
Hmm. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I think we kind of live on there. Yeah, I
Really?
mean, yeah, I mean, last couple of years, like since I started my podcast, I'm like, wow, I'm getting like, I think it's the algorithms, like it just keeps pulling me with more Cambodians, more Vietnamese people. I'm like, oh, okay, well, and then I have people like following me. It's like it's kind of this weird, kind of exchange of energies, I guess. It's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
it's a kind of like the way I see it, it's like, I live near Chicago, so our Cambodian community is not that big, but like if we run into a Cambodian, if I run into a Cambodian person, like around my age at a party that's not Cambodian. I mean, it's like that Spider-Man meme, like pointing to
Yeah.
each other. There's a
Oh
weird
yeah, yeah.
excitement. Like if it's like, me being Vietnamese, like, I'll say I'm Vietnamese. I'm like, okay, no one's gonna, like, who cares? There's a lot of us. But if it's Cambodian, it's a whole nother sibling
Mm.
feeling. It's like finding a lost sibling, basically. So
Oh,
I kind of see.
yeah.
So I'm not surprised that you would get this kind of reaction because I do think that we have so many funny people, but a lot of our community members, I think it's a struggle to get to that next level.
Yeah.
How do you think that you've been able to take your work to the next level, especially when you are a mom of a 10-year-old?
I do it because I I think for me it's because I was a single mom that I was able to do it
Hmm.
because I didn't have any other opinions or
Hmm.
anybody else that I had to cater to, and because I had more to I could not do it because I wanted to be a good example for my son, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
then I just made it happen. I was like, there's no other way. And then I think because I grew up in entertainment with watching my mom and my dad do it,
Hmm.
that it helped give me the understanding of how to do it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like it
Hmm.
wasn't it wasn't a new thing for me, you know, to navigate.
Hmm.
So I had that advantage a little bit. And it's funny that you said that I'm able to accomplish more because I feel like I'm behind.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm behind. I'm just like because my friend Danny Plum is a Cambodian comedian.
Hmm.
He's a social media personality,
Hmm. Hmm.
but he's also a Cambodian comedian. Um, but yeah, so I think and I just always think about my kid. I'm always like, there's no way I want him to, when he grows up, I want him to be attracted to ambitious women.
Hmm.
And I want him to understand what a hard working woman looks like, and a mom who like follows her dreams.
Hmm.
Like, so that's why I do it.
And how
And I
does
have,
yeah, how
yeah,
does your son how does your son like react to your comedy, or like when he sees you? Like what's his reaction to
you know,
to it? Because I know kids are the most honest at this age. They can be very brutal.
yeah. Well, when he was little, he didn't understand everything.
Hmm.
So he just knew that mom was funny and people laughed. Like that's all he knew. And now he's starting to understand it more. But what's funny is that I asked him who the class clown is in his class, and he's so proud to say, like, he's like, I am. Like
Aw.
because he thinks being funny is cool, right?
Hmm.
But one time, because my son, he likes to roast. He's a good roaster.
Mm.
So my son roasts, and then he likes to say something funny. And then one time he said something funny, and I laughed. And then he said the same thing again to get another laugh. And I said, the rule of comedy is once you get a laugh, don't repeat the same joke.
Hmm.
Okay. Once you get a laugh, just stop. Right. He goes, well, then how come you've been repeating the same jokes for like 2 years?
It's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
It is a good one. It's so
Yeah.
smart. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's gotta feel like, pretty cool to see him, like really be very honest with you, but also like
Yeah.
also be able to observe what you've been doing, observe what you've been doing, trying to understand like this is what mommy does, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm there to entertain people. Um,
Yeah.
one thing I usually do on my off time, like to like decompress from the craziness of the world is watching roast battles in Chicago, the
Yeah.
comedy roast battles. Like, and sometimes my mouth just drops open. It's like, damn. I will plug my brain out, because like I'm like, okay, this is a roast battle. Like, it's all everything is,
Anything
fair
goes.
game,
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
goes. Like, have you participated in those specific roast battles? And what was that like to have to like make very racist, ableist, sexist?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, wow. Like, it's pretty wild.
We I did a roast with I did do a roast battle, but at that time it was with one of my really good friends.
Hmm.
So it was like it was just for fun, you know.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't do a lot of roast battles, but she wrote a roast for me that fucking killed me. And then I was like, "Can I use that in my stand up?" And now it's one of the best jokes I have. But she goes, "Lynn doesn't like giving blowjobs because she doesn't have a neck." And then she's tired of getting stabbed in the heart. You know?
Oh dear. Oh, wow. That's a good one.
So it is a good one.
That's a good
So
one.
I was like, I'm gonna use that. So that was my opener for a very long time.
Wow.
Like I just straight up went, I don't like giving blowjobs because I don't have a neck, you know? Yeah, and then I say I'm tired of getting stabbed in the heart. And most people, the thing is, I didn't for the longest time, Randy. Honestly, like I didn't know what made me funny. Like I didn't
Mm,
know why people are laughing. Like what are they laughing at? You know what I mean? Are they just being
hmm.
nice? Like because of my daddy issues and my lack of self belief, right?
Mm, hmm.
I just wasn't aware of like why people think I'm funny. Because I'm not really a funny person off stage.
Mm,
I'm only perform. You know, I'm funny on stage. Off
hmm.
stage, I'm actually pretty serious.
Hmm.
Um, but I think with that a joke like that, right? Like I don't like giving blowjobs or whatever. It's they don't expect that to come out of my mouth. You know,
Hmm. Yeah, especially an
like they
Asian
don't.
woman too. And like when they think of like an older Asian woman,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
think of more petite or more like sophisticated and pure. But no, but I think that there's like some shock values. Like, no, this is not who we all are. Don't
Yeah,
put
and
us in
she's
one thing. There are women that just love crepes, harsh sex, and
yeah,
like like I think that sometimes that does shock people, but it's also like, look, let's have a conversation about this. Let's not think that this is let's normal. I think in a way, comedy is like a way to make dialogue normal. Like, let's have a real
yeah.
conversation on things that we're
Right,
kind of
right, right.
scared to bring up. Like, yeah, when we talk about the abuses from our parents, yeah, it's hard to relive it, but at the same time, it's also like I think it's an important dialogue to like really open up and find space for. And um for your relationship with your dad, when your dad left you, like what were you reaching out to him? What was your relationship like over the years?
You know what? Honestly, I was relieved that my dad was leaving.
Hmm.
Like it sucked, but I was just like, oh, because he just was bottlenecking us so much, and
Hmm.
he was so strict, and I just wasn't. There was no freedom, and I felt for my mom because he was abusive.
Hmm.
So I just was like, I'm so glad he's gone because now my mom can finally like be free and live. You
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
So when he left, it bothered me, but not like
Hmm.
that. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
Not where I
Right.
missed him. It wasn't like I missed him. Where's daddy? It was like I'm fine with never talking to him again.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? You know? And you know what? Here's the thing though. Like I've forgiven my dad and I
Hmm.
know that he's a very brilliant, intelligent man.
Hmm.
And I got a lot of my like boss nature from him.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um and so I don't hate him like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm grateful for the things that he has given me.
Hmm.
And I also know that he has his issues, you know?
Have you talked with him or have you seen him?
Yeah. I saw him when my mom passed away,
Hmm.
and he was actually a changed man. Like he was really like kinder and
Hmm.
softer and asking me for forgiveness and crying.
Hmm.
And then I saw him, and then he found me on Facebook, or his new wife found me on Facebook because she's young, and he like messaged me on Facebook sometimes, and he's apologized profusely about how he's behaved, and I was able to tell him like, I forgive you, it's fine, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I need a relationship with you.
Right.
you know I don't need it
Hmm. I think it's
unless you're going
kind
to
of.
give. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. What were you gonna say? Unless you're gonna.
So unless you're gonna give me a lot of money.
I was
Other
gonna
than
say
that,
that,
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Why? Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering like like it feels so rare to get like an apology from our parents, especially as they
Yeah.
get older, but it's also like, wow, it makes you pause because there are apologies that you deserve. It's like, yeah, I want you to acknowledge the hurt that you caused me and our family
Yeah.
over the years. So that's got to feel pretty jolting to hear
Mm.
those words. I mean, and to see how time has changed or evolved your dad and and does your son like talk about like his grandparents or like trying to
You
understand his
know,
family?
my friend actually made a documentary. It made a documentary, a short
Hmm.
documentary, and it's
Hmm.
about myself and my family
Hmm.
and our background and how they were the first, to create Cambodian music videos and whatever. And my son, I played it for my. It's not out yet, but of course I get to see it first, right?
Wow.
I played it for my son, and he's watching the whole thing. He's like, "Wow!" He's like, "My grandpa's famous." And I make it a point to not badmouth anybody to my son in that
Hmm.
way. Not
Hmm.
even not his dad, not my dad, not anybody. Right? I will say grandpa was strict. I'll say grandpa was mean, but I'll never say grandpa was abusive. Like I won't say that.
Hmm.
Do you
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because why? There's no point. I don't want him to I don't want to taint anything.
Hmm.
So yeah, he just watches it and he's actually really proud, like,
Hmm.
oh my God, my family. I have a famous family. I'm like, famous is a strong word. But like, how about just like known? You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. As far as like trying to get booked and
Yeah.
getting on not just with venues but also on TV because I know like these days streaming is everywhere, but it's such a complicated field right now. I mean, with the writer's strike that's happened with AI and all that, it's
Yeah.
just kind of like weird. The entertainment industry is in a really weird place right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessary for the better for like working artists, but I'm curious, like, how are you, you know, navigating through all of that?
I'm really big because again, my dad was good at creating things.
Hmm.
So I think I have it in my blood, but I'm all about creating your own thing.
Hmm.
So if you're not getting booked, if you're submitting, you're not getting booked, then learn how to produce your own comedy show.
Hmm.
So then you can have your own stage and then you can practice your own stuff and you could book the comics you want to book.
Hmm.
So make your own show.
Yeah.
You can create nowadays you can create your own web series. You can create your own anything. Anything. So create your own. That's how I see it. Because I'm like, and I don't say this out of like pity party for myself, but
Hmm.
I'm not the young, new little starlet, right?
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
like maybe they don't know where to put me. They don't know where my lane is. So I'm just gonna have to show them what it is.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Then you just have to show it. And you just have to be your own big break, you know?
Hmm.
And you create your lane and make it happen. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that also gets a lot of the attention from producers or scouts, and in a way,
Yeah.
like where are you hoping to see yourself in the next 5, 10 years in terms of like your
Ooh.
creativity, especially?
Yeah. So I'm finally working on my late night set, right? So I want to submit to late night TV to do a
Mm.
5 minute clean set. So my set's not really dirty. It's just that I cuss. So I
Hmm.
just had to like not cuss and it'll be okay. But I'm working on late night TV. But in 5 to 10 years, I'm gonna need to be touring. I need
Hmm.
to be. I'm not gonna ever stop doing stand up. You
Hmm.
know, I'd like my own sitcom or series,
We need a
whichever one the
Cambodian
universe.
sitcom. We need a Cambodian American sitcom. I
We
think
need a
we are
Cambodian American sitcom.
long overdue. I cannot tell you we are long overdue for one. We need
Like in
that.
Cambodia, but like
No,
spoken in Cambodian, or just have a Cambodian
a
character.
diaspora, like a diaspora, like a Cambodian American family, growing
Oh
up in
yeah, yeah,
Long
yeah, yeah,
Beach, it's like
yeah,
but like I feel like that would be perfect because I feel like we
yeah.
have the makings of a good sitcom. So I'm waiting for that. I hope that it comes. I hope that happens for you, you know? I think that
Yeah.
would be great. Um,
Hmm.
as far as cities go in terms of doing your tour, what was your favorite city and what do you think about Chicago? Because Chicago is like known as like second known for Second City, the Improv
Yeah.
Olympics, and it's like a big center for comedians, but
comedy.
I'm curious about like the other cities you've toured at, but also like more importantly, Chicago.
I don't really do improv, but when I was in Chicago, Chicago felt like the husband I never knew that I needed, you know?
Mm.
It was so much love, and I love the
Mhm.
city. I love downtown. I love the vintage buildings.
Mhm.
I love the architecture of it. I loved Chicago so much. I'm supposed to be going back in May, but we'll see.
Mm. Okay.
Um, so I really like Chicago. Chicago was welcoming, but I didn't do comedy in front of a lot of Southeast Asians. It was more like, you know, regular
Hmm.
audience.
Hmm.
Um, Tacoma's always
Tacoma's
fun.
great. Tacoma's got
Yeah,
some good people
Tacoma's
there.
fun.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna be in Tacoma this coming April 25th to do a Southeast Asian New Year show.
Wow.
So I'm gonna be in Tacoma. That's if I do another special, or if when I do another special, like when I shoot like a real special for, let's say, Hulu, Netflix, whatever, I want to do it in Tacoma.
Hmm.
That's where I want to do it because their people are just so. It was inspiring for me to see all the Cambodians together and just supporting each other and laughing and having a great time and being one. You
Hmm.
know, that meant a lot to me. The first year I did it, I was like, wow, they were just all partying together and it was clean, good, innocent fun. It wasn't, nobody was fighting. You know what I mean? Like there was
Hmm.
nothing like that. Everyone was successful. Everyone loved each other. Um, those are my, yeah, I like Chicago and I like Tacoma. I mean, I like other cities too, but you're asking me to pick a couple.
Yeah. And as far as like other Asian comedians, like because there's a lot of Asian comedians these days. You get the Ronnie Chang, Sheng
Yeah.
Wang, Ellie
Yeah.
Wong, Hassan Hassan Minaj.
Yeah.
I'm fumbling on names here. My
Yeah. Yeah.
apologies. But yeah, like how does it feel to see like the crop of other Asian Americans like starting to get their start in comedy and making it big? Because I do you feel like more hopeful because of
Um,
that?
yeah, and I love it. Like my favorite Asian comedian is actually Margaret Cho.
Mm, she's great.
Oh my God, I love Margaret Cho.
Hmm.
I have a joke about being bootleg Margaret Cho. Like I love Margaret Cho. Like I like Margaret Cho a lot. So that's my favorite, Asian stand up.
Hmm.
No, I love it. I love seeing. I just I'm a lot more critical of Asians just because I'm
Hmm.
Asian,
Yeah.
so to see them actually be, of course, A plus. What
Hmm.
else are we gonna be?
Right.
I liked it a lot. Although I didn't really watch Fresh Off the Boat. I didn't really
Hmm.
wasn't really my thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, Ali Wong's hilarious.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hilarious. She is
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah. And as we start to wrap up, what would you say to your 30-year-old self if you had to go back in time?
Wow, 30-year-old self?
Yes.
My 30-year-old self, I would tell her that she's fucking sexy and she
Yeah.
needs to know that and like fucking own it.
Hmm.
Like, and start being a comedian now. Like, what are you waiting for?
Yeah. And where can people find or follow you?
On Instagram at Lintorious, Lintorious. I'm also
Yes.
on TikTok and Facebook, but I can't figure out all of it at the same time. So we're going to go
Yeah.
with Instagram right now.
Yeah, I hear you. I
Yeah.
mean, even though we're like the first generation to experience technology, we're also like the most tired of it at this point. Like we
Oh
can't
God,
catch
it's a
up
lot.
anymore. It's
I
a
can't.
lot. Mm-mm.
Somebody was like, "You should market yourself on Snapchat." I'm like, another thing. I can't do it. It's just
No,
a
oh my
lot.
God. No, my gosh. I can't.
I
I
need
mean, it's
someone
a
to
lot
do
of
it for
work.
me.
It's
It
a lot of work
is.
because I mean, I was trying to do like YouTube shorts and I'm
Mm,
like, okay, I don't really want to do and I also have to do the captioning and all that fun stuff. It's like, great.
yeah,
This is
it's a
this
full
is
time job.
it's a full-time
It's a full
job.
time job. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I hope that people get to follow you on Lintorious.
Please do.
And I really hope nothing but the best of success for you for this for this current year and seeing where this is going to lead you. This has been such an honor, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I finally have a comedian on my show for a change.
Yay.
You
Thank
know?
you. And thank you for this. This was great. I enjoyed it. You're a great interviewer. It's
Oh,
great.
thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.